Welcome everybody to Muscle Fitness and Health. Nope, this is not Muscle Fitness and Health, guys. This is how to get close to someone and make it last. This is part 2. We did part 1 earlier, and you can go back and watch the earlier videos. And it would be good if you did see part 1. But in part 2, I'm just going to review a little bit of what I did in part 1. But in this video, I'm going to cover, the why people are so into physical looks as opposed to looking at the individual. Now, and at the end of this, and I hope all of you stay to the end, you're going to hopefully have a realization and more of an understanding as to why this culture is into worshiping bodies instead of looking at the individual and making a case on personal characteristics and integrity, as opposed to how good looking and how great they are physically. And like I said, it all started when we were kids in school, in kindergarten, or even before that. It could even be in, when our parents started reading books to us, or we were in preschool, and it always started with something like, once upon a time, there was a beautiful princess and a handsome prince. And the emphasis was on beautiful princess and a handsome prince. And the princess was with her sisters, or she was living with some others that they said were ugly sisters, or ugly people that were after her, and they always made them look in a horrible way. And so on a very, very young age, we got an idea that beauty was good and ugly was not acceptable. So it basically culminated from, other characteristics connected to beauty, whether it be hair or eyes, or in a guy's case, they had to be a certain height, like he had to be 6 foot or taller, 6'3" or 4. And it's like, what difference is that gonna make compared to a guy that's 5'5"? He's like really ethical and has a lot of integrity, and, compared to some guy that's 6'5", who is unethical, who can't be trusted. So it's like, you got to really look at, what people are being fed. So it really accumulated into, also with books, with magazines, with TV shows, movies. And I remember, watching television as a kid, certain shows that were on, and, all the women that these guys were with were always really beautiful, and they weren't with any ugly women. And it was like, it set a pattern, it set a precedence as to, what beauty was. Even in the James Bond movies, the women were always beautiful. There weren't any ugly women. It's like, and that's part of the indoctrination. And I remember being in school, in elementary school, they had what was called Dance Day. And we were like, I don't know, 7, 8 years old, but they wanted us to build social skills, and we had to go up to a girl and, and basically ask her to be our partner. And we tried to find, or I did, and so the other guys too, we tried to find the prettiest girls in the classroom to go up to and ask, will you be my partner, and that kind of thing. And it started at a really young age, like the prettiest girls got treated differently than the other girls, and the same thing with the guys too. So I remember writing notes to girls that I liked, because I didn't have the confront to go up to them and talk to them. So you would write them a note and give it to her friend to give to her, and then you'd run away or something. But it was a really interesting game in elementary school. And I think the school system has caused a tremendous amount of insecurities in people. Inferiority complexes were created because it's a cookie cutter system. Everyone is being run through the same thing, and a lot of people weren't meant to be in a cookie cutter system like that. And it was very it was detrimental to a lot of people. I mean, I saw a lot of people hurt and struggling, and even in a learning, not just on a social level, but socially and academically, it was very destructive because of the way the things were being taught, the social part of it. I remember this is elementary school, where we would get called up to the board to work mathematical problems. And if you were called up there and you didn't know it or you couldn't do it, you felt humiliated. And there wasn't really any strong support. And I remember in this one class, like I was chewing gum, and this teacher said, "Oh, you chewing gum. Did you bring enough for everybody?" And I didn't say anything. And he said, "Now come up here in the front of the class." So I came up there, and he said, "Spit the gum out in your hand. Now put it on your nose." And then everybody started laughing. And there was a girl in the class that I really liked, and I felt so humiliated because I'm standing there with this gum on my nose. And so it was really, really a bad situation. Like I said, not just socially, but academically. You were made to feel incompetent, inferior, and that's why a lot of people have issues today because of elementary, middle, high school, because the way it was structured, it was very destructive. And the ideas that were given to you by teachers, by other classmates, a lot of the things that were said, you took it at face value, and you took it and made it your own, and it wasn't true. But like if they said, "Oh yeah, you're a dummy, you failed the test, you got an E on your test, or you got what marks did you get?" And it was all comparison to how smart you were, and it wasn't that you couldn't do it. It's just you didn't have the support network in place. And if you didn't have good parents to work with you, then, or somebody who would, and some of the teachers were really incredible because they would work with students. They would see that, this student was really struggling, and they'd have them come back after class and work with them because they really cared. a lot of the teachers really, really cared about the students, and a lot of them didn't. They were just there to destroy and hurt and cause pain, and they didn't really care. And my music teacher was incredible. Was an incredible guy. One of the best of the best. And I had other teachers too that were also really good. Social studies and other things in high school, middle school, had some good teachers. But a lot of them, like I said, they were just there to, just run people through this cookie cutter system. And a lot of people, like I said, because of the school system, they developed inferiority complexes. They developed, they don't really feel adequate. They don't feel competent. And they wrote a story about themselves based on the judgment of other people, other students, other experiences they had, and they wrote the story and closed the book, and now they're living their lives according to what other people have said about them in schools and teachers and parents and aunts and uncles and fathers and mothers. These ideas were not your own ideas. They were based on other people's judgment when they said you're no good, you're not going to amount to anything, you're nothing, you're worthless. All these things were from other people. And then you took those ideas, those concepts, and went into agreement. You went into agreement with them and made them your own. And you felt, well, I'm probably worthless. No girl's gonna want me. I'm no good. And you're growing up. Your whole life is spent looking through the eyes of other people, when in actual fact, you have incredible abilities. You have infinite ability. There isn't anything you can't do. So we have to unlearn what we've learned. And most of that stuff was very destructive. Most of it was very harmful. And we didn't have the nurturing and the support network in place to undo a lot of that stuff. A lot of people had very negative homes that they grew up in, and they didn't have anybody there to really support them in their ideas, and they couldn't go to their mother or their father, or they had a single family home where there's just a mother raising them or just a father raising them, and they didn't have anything in place where they could go to somebody and say, hey, I'm really hurting, and I feel horrible and I need help. They didn't have it. And if they said it, they were made fun of, and they were invalidated like crazy, and saying you're pathetic. You're so weak. You're not a man. You're just pathetic, and you couldn't, and then you felt even worse. So there was nobody you could go to. You couldn't go to your teachers. You couldn't go to your friends because they would humiliate you. You couldn't go to anybody at your home because they would laugh and make fun of you. And that stuff stayed inside, and it ate away at you like cancer. It just ate away at you, destroying you. And that's why a lot of people today are mentally incapacitated by what happened to them growing up. And so, and a lot of you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know exactly. We've all made mistakes, but now it's time to turn things around. Turn it around We're going to rewrite the book. We're going to rewrite the script. And we're going to rewrite it according to who we are natively, which we have incredible abilities, unlimited abilities, and we have possibility thinking. Possibility thinking is knowing anything is possible. Anything is possible. If you can dream it, you can do it. You can do it. It's possibility thinking. And I want all of you to start. Let today be your birthday. Start over. I don't care what books said what movies, what teachers said what your father, your mother said, your sister, your brother, cousins, aunts, uncles. Doesn't matter. Let today be your birthday. We start fresh. We start fresh today. We got a clean slate. You rewrite your life the way you want it. Not what somebody else wanted it to be, but the way you wanted it to be. And now you can take the chains off that you've been shackled and chained up. We're going to take away all of that so that you can start living your life. Living your life. Really important, guys, because your mindset is going to determine how you live the rest of your life. And if you have limited thinking and you have all these limitations, you're not going to live a very good life. The only thing holding us back is ourselves. There isn't anybody holding us back. The only limitations we have are the limitations we put on ourselves. The only limitations we have are the limitations we put on ourselves. And so we can undo all of that stuff. And I want all of you to do it. I want all of you to do it. Do it, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. It's really important, guys. We're going to turn it around and make it happen. We're not going to, based on movies and, this girl is a 10 and you can never have anybody like that and you're out of your league, buddy boy. That kind of craziness when you feel inferior to her because she's so beautiful. She's a 10. And you feel she's out of my league. She's out of my league, Lord. How can I ever get a girl like that? Well, she's no different than anybody else. And you gotta realize that she is no different than anybody else. She's breathing the same air that you're breathing. And if she gets a cut, she's gonna bleed just like you're gonna bleed. She is no different. The only thing that's different about her is the concepts that people have put on her to say that she's beautiful and that you're ugly or you don't feel good about yourself. But it's just an idea that you bought into that she's really beautiful. That's all it is. It's just an idea, a concept. And she's no different. And I wouldn't even make a deal out of it, because it doesn't really matter. What matters is integrity. Integrity, character, honor, trustworthiness. Can she be trusted? Ethical. How ethical is she? That's what really matters. Is she going to honor what she says and not, do something different? See, that's what's really important. Not how beautiful she is. Yes, it's okay to have her as beautiful, but if she doesn't have these other characteristics, it's really not going to matter. Doesn't matter how beautiful she is. You know, if you can't trust her, if she's not ethical, she doesn't have any honor, you know, no integrity, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So this is something that I really wanted to, make a video about. And if you guys have any questions, please put them in the comment section. Please subscribe to the channel, guys. Please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button so that we can reach more people with this message, because I feel a lot of people need it. A lot of people are suffering because of what happened to them in elementary, middle, high school. They were totally devastated. They were destroyed. A lot of people went on drugs, alcohol, and, they destroyed themselves. And the two things that people want to do more than anything is they either want to change how they feel or they want to change their behavior. And so, people use drugs and alcohol and other things to try to change how they felt because they didn't feel good about themselves. And it was nothing wrong with them, but they were brainwashed into believing there was something wrong with them. There's something wrong with them. And there was nothing wrong with them. They just were in an environment that was very toxic. Whether the home life was toxic, the school environment was toxic, or they were both toxic. And when you're in a bad home and a bad school environment, you want to change how you feel because you're being treated and bombarded with all this negativity day in, day out, day in, day out. All you're getting is negativity. And it doesn't surprise me, why we have a culture like this. Because people have been devastated. So I'm going to just leave it at that, guys. For right now, we'll come back with another video. But I thought I'd make this one. And I want you all to remember, thoughts become things. If you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. Keep chasing your greatness. Keep chasing your greatness. And never, never, never stop believing in yourselves. All right, guys, that's all I got for you. Have a wonderful day today, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye now.